Hey everyone, thanks for listening. Very frustrating world, this one. The trials coming out of LA and now Mexico, and executives getting up from social networking saying, no, our networks are safe. We don't do this, we don't do that. No, that's misinformation. It's continued to be thrown smoke screens out there in regards to exactly how poorly their networks are designed, and more importantly, the impacts they are having on children globally. Now, I can only speak as an Australian educator. I can only speak about the victims I deal with in Australia here, but I just wanted to share with you this little experiment and the data coming out of it to really emphasise, I suppose, and to negate claims being made by many executives at how safe these environments are, when in fact they are quite the opposite. And I've harped on about this particular quote from Antigone Davis, who's the VP and Global Head of Safety at Meta last year or 18 months ago when it was made. And it seems like, sadly, I'm repeating myself, but I wanted to really dig into, emphasise exactly how disgusting this comment was and how deflective it is of the harm many Instagram users are experiencing. So in 2024, in June, there was a Senate hearing in Australia called the Joint Select Committee into Social Media and Australian Society. Now, giving evidence from her office at Meta in the US, Antigone Davis was questioned by a number of senators, including Senator Sarah Henderson here in Australia. Now, Senator Henderson was making comment prior to her question about a statement made by Nick Clegg, who also worked at Meta, that Instagram had been successful in negating 96% the ability for juveniles to be exposed to pornography on the network. Now, Antigone Davis interrupted Miss Henderson, or Senator Henderson, quite abruptly and said, look, I'll have to correct you there. I don't know what you mean by pornography, because there's no pornography on Meta, on our site. Now, I immediately was really angry at that comment, because I knew quite the opposite in regards to how much pornography is actually on Instagram, and I was trying to get the attention of the senator, but unfortunately wasn't able to do that. So I felt compelled to get right into the nitty-gritty of that claim and hopefully blow it out of the water, and I think I've done that quite successfully. So over 62 days, so from December 15 of 2025 to February 15 of 2026, over 120 hours and 62 days, I jumped on Instagram with 20 fake accounts. So 20 accounts where I was purporting to be children who were 14 and 15 years of age, 15 male accounts and 5 female accounts. And I used those accounts over that 62 days and 120 hours just to navigate through Reels. I didn't engage with the app, I didn't like, I didn't share, I didn't comment on any of the videos I saw. I just jumped onto Reels and went vid after vid after vid. Now, if I did see something that was pornographic in nature, I would watch that video through its entirety. Anything else that popped up, I'd just flick straight through. So that gave the algorithm a chance to kick in and to hopefully minimise me from being pushed to other environments. So, and I think we'll reflect on that in a moment. That's quite an important point. So 120 hours and 62 hours. So most of the sessions I was recording, and I captured 30 hours of this content as well, so to back up the claims that I've made and the data that's been presented. Usually for about 15 to 30 minutes I would record, and then I'd take extensive notes in regards to what I'd seen based on those recordings. So before we get into the results and what I saw as juveniles, let's just quickly focus on the definition of pornography. Now, under standard definition, pretty much all dictionaries across the online world and the physical world state pornography as anything of a sexual nature, nudity that promotes sexual interest or sexual excitement. So I went along those lines of that within the experiment, And I'll also add that Meta's own definitions of pornography align with the standard definitions represented in this experiment. So this wasn't just a particular flash of a breast or something simple like that. It was a revealing of a breast in a sexual enticement, as an example, right up to full-on sexual interaction and intercourse, including online child exploitation material and, sadly, bestiality as well. So it's really concerning at how much content was being thrown out there, and more importantly, content which is denied even exists by a VP and head of global safety. So over 62 days and 120 hours through the Reels network on Instagram, I was exposed to 96,000 content feeds. Okay, so individual videos, 96,000. So yeah, quite a lot. So that's about 800 an hour, and 200 probably every 15 to 20 minutes. Now, that also reflects on the level of content that can be shown to a juvenile. And I wasn't screaming really quickly through, because I was taking notes of what was coming up on each reel. And it just really reflects at exactly how much content a juvenile can, or any user can, be exposed to on Instagram over a very short period of time. So out of 96 reels being shown to me, 47,039 were deemed to be pornographic. Now, let's just stop and think about that for a second. So that's almost half. That's 48% of content revealed was pornographic in nature. Now, when I first started looking at content on any of the accounts, and I'd swap in and out of these accounts quite regularly, over the first 30 to 45 reels, I wouldn't see much pornography at all, 1 to 3, maybe 9% on average. 9% was pornographic in nature. So whether that was someone flashing a breast, whether that was someone pulling some pants down, exposing the pubic area, whether that was someone masturbating on screen, right up to complete genitalia being displayed, sexual acts being displayed, and, as I said, some very, very illegal content. So it was quite concerning. Okay, so but that first 35 to 45, I'd only see about 9%. But remember, as suggested, whenever I did see something of an adult nature, pornographic nature, I would watch that video to its entirety. If it was a kid on a skateboard, whether it was a renovation vid, whatever, straight past it. I'd just go straight away. So the algorithm started kicking in. From that 45 videos right up to 90, so that second lot of 45, that's when the algorithm really started to kick in. So I'd gone from going to seeing only 9% of pornographic content in that first 30 to 40 vids to 42% in that second. So this is where across all across all the accounts, across all the visits to Instagram, the algorithm continued to work consistently in that matter. Now, hey, and executives will jump up and down and go, yep, no worries, that's what we want. We want an algorithm to be designed and to be reactive to push a user to the content they want to see. Now, again, if that's racing car videos, if that's horse riding, something you enjoy, okay, no worries. Something that's not harmful or going to cause damage, then yeah, that's the response we want. But when it's content which is harmful, or when it's content which can be deemed addictive, the algorithm is no different. So this is where their designs are flawed. They're not reacting appropriately enough to harmful content. So 96,000, almost half, 47,039 was pornographic content. Now, 10% of that, so 9,868, and I'll show you the screen here. I'll flick this up as we go. Okay, so 10% was, over the side, nudity, no genitalia. So again, that's revealing of a breast, pubic area, and stuff like that. Okay, nudity where genitalia was displayed, that's getting almost to 17%. Genitalia displayed as well as a sex act, that was 10.5%. So you can see here it continues to really be concerning, the numbers we were seeing. Okay, so OCM, so online child exploitation material, was 2.4%. Bestiality was 1.8%. So almost 2,000 videos were bestiality videos. Sexual assault, 3.7%, and sexual violence, 3.5%. So this is everything where there was sexual content of a pornographic nature under the definition, not only of standard definitions across the globe, but also under Meta's very own definition. So for a CEO or an executive to come out and say there's no pornography on Instagram, either she has got no idea what is happening on her network, absolutely no idea, or that was a blatant lie. And this is what we need to continue to address, because so many advocates have been shouting this stuff from the rooftops for a long time, yet someone who is in a position of authority at this network has stood up in front of a Senate hearing under oath and made a claim which was completely false. So any lay person could be sitting in a home going, okay, well, there's no pornography on Instagram then. Okay, maybe Instagram is safe for my kid. Well, that's simply not the case. All right, and some of the content I was seeing, and I'm not a prude, okay, I've been involved in some of this country's most serious online crimes, and I have seen some of the most horrific content that can be seen by anyone who works in this field. But some of the content I was seeing from Instagram is being shown to our children, okay? And you've got an executive who's sitting here denying that it exists. It's just absolutely unacceptable that we as a society should be taking the word of these people who are running these environments. And we're dealing with pornography addiction in huge numbers across this country and many others. And the vast majority of the kids I speak to, when you ask them, okay, how did you get into this loop? How did you get caught up in pornography addiction? And the vast majority, 72%, will say to me, Paul, I was first exposed to pornography on Instagram. Okay. 7% of the videos that I saw had links to adult websites on Instagram. So they're pushing a user who is now being pushed and becoming addictive to certain content on Instagram, now being pushed to external websites where they can see even more dangerous and harmful content. So this is something I really need to continue to really address and bring home to those who are listening and watching this video. But more importantly, what I really wanted to address within this, obviously not just the pornography side of it and the claims made by Antigone Davis, is the claims continuing to come out of Meta executives that harm is being addressed, that reports are being addressed. Adam Mosseri, who's the CEO of Instagram, made a clear statement in his evidence in Los Angeles recently, and again in a Senate hearing last year, that we are addressing harm, okay? The vast majority of reports we act on, and even made the statement, if reports aren't being acted on, then we've failed there, okay? So not only did I go through this 120 hours, 62 days of recording, capturing and documenting pornography, I then chose to get into the reporting mechanisms of Instagram and how effective they were or they were not. Now, 47,000 accounts was going to be pretty time-consuming and difficult to report. So over the 62 days, I took action to report a number of the accounts, 9,037. Okay, so 9,037 accounts. And again, the response in regards to reporting was quite concerning, or the lack of response, should I say. And this is what myself, as an advocate for online harm, is what I deal with every day. And I say to a lot of my juvenile audiences, quite simply, the statement is this: you will not realise how poorly you are protected until you ask for help. You'll be ignored, okay? So the networks are going, in you come, kids, this is great fun, connect with the world, enjoy. And hey, I use social media, and a lot of our kids are using social media safely, and it's a great environment for them to engage with their peers. It's important to embrace that. But when something goes wrong and they look for help as a user, they are abandoned. So I think when we continue to really hammer down in regards to why our kids are going through what they're going through, it's the lack of ethical design of these environments that's pushing them to these results of harm. So it's important that we really continue to address that. So of the 9,032 accounts I reported, okay, child abuse material, bestiality, sexual content, pornography, clear as day. Okay, of the 9,032 accounts I reported, only 2.4% were removed. Okay, in the first instance, only 2.4%. So reported 1 to 5 times. 217 of those accounts were removed. So well done, Meta. Good work, Instagram. Okay. Content that was reported 6 to 10 times, the removal popped up to about 9.2%. Okay. Content which was reported 11 to 20 times, that popped up to 13.8. Now, of the content I saw, okay, and 20 plus got to 22%. So you have to keep smashing these accounts. So I say to parents, I say to educators, I say to kids themselves or users, you've got to continue to report. Don't just report once, don't just report twice. The chance of it being removed is quite low. You've got to keep smashing these accounts if you're seeing inappropriate content, if someone's bullying you, someone's harassing you. But what I need to address is what wasn't removed, okay? Out of 9,032 accounts that I reported were clearly showing pornographic content, some the most severe. 29.5% came back with a response that it doesn't go against the community guidelines at Instagram. 29.5%. Okay, one of those videos I won't describe in detail, but even from myself, as someone who's been in this industry for 17 years, it was horrific. It was horrible to see. Okay, so 30%, a third, was not removed. Okay, doesn't go against our guidelines. 23% of content had no response whatsoever and no action was taken. Okay, so again, let's emphasize that. That's 52% of content was not actioned. No action was taken whatsoever. It wasn't removed. So half of the content I saw, 47,039 videos, half of them were ignored and stayed on the network for other kids to see and engage with. So this is the messages that have to go out there. It has to be heard that the statements coming out of these executives are false, misleading. Okay, we have the greatest tools, world-leading tools, industry-leading tools that help protect kids. Well, that's wrong. They're failing. They're failing monstrably. Okay, so when someone's looking to get this content removed, it's staying out there. Not only is it staying out there, as other kids are getting to see it. All right, and you've got a CEO, a Meta executive sitting in a Senate hearing under oath going, there's no pornography on Instagram. Okay, so we've got to keep calling this out. We've got to keep getting these messages out there as a global shift to go, you know what, we've had enough of this. And I'm sick and tired of going, enough is enough. I'm sick and tired of hashtagging enough is enough. We need to keep fighting. And whether I agree with the social media restriction laws in Australia or not is a moot point. We're beyond that now. Okay? Australia is a world first. Little old Australia, down under, we are a world first. Okay? In minimising the exposure of our children to these networks who don't give a damn about them. Okay? Who ignore them when they cry for help, and who abandon them when they ask for assistance. Okay, the UK set to follow. All right, Malaysia, Poland. Okay, all these countries have had enough. So we've got to challenge these statements when they're made, and we've got to say no, that's wrong. We've got to do that as a nation because our kids are suffering as a result of that. And our kids are being blamed. What are they doing on Instagram? Okay, parents are being blamed. Oh, why are they allowing these kids on their networks? Well, they're designed to be addictive. They'll deny that. The networks will deny that. Okay, right? 47% of children I've recently surveyed, 47% said they are addicted to social media. Okay, 12% of them say they struggle to get off. They do struggle to get off, but they don't think they're addicted. So again, it's over half of our kids are addicted to these networks. So they're saying, in you come on, we'll help you, we'll look after you, look at the fun stuff we can provide you. But they're abandoning them when something goes wrong. So when we hear these kids who are now adults who are giving evidence in front of juries, that's the truth. That's the truth. I know the truth. I can constantly see it. And I'm constantly dealing with it, okay? I'm having hundreds of thousands of children ignored by these organisations. Yet when they ask me for help, I give it, okay? You've got executives going, no porn on Instagram. Yet, no, we address all complaints. We address all reports. They're lies. They're lies. The truth has to be heard and the truth must continue to be told. These executives must be held accountable for the harms they're creating and, more importantly, for the ignorance of the harms their platforms are creating. And we have to continue to push voice because these organisations just simply don't give a damn.